Hello and welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Ajibade, Executive Director of the Brain and Body Foundation. And I think it's because our goal is very well laser focused on helping Nigerians and Africans understand the practical principles that help to guide health, things that they can take home and act upon. Because I mean, let's face it, a lot of people talk about health and, oh yeah, just exercise and eat good food, have a nice diet, sleep well. Those are just general ideas, general tips. And people think that when they've heard it so many times that they're actually doing them. And you and I know that they're not really doing them. But if you can have a specific thing to hold on to that you can go and apply with you, your spouse, your family, you can apply and you can see results, that makes a difference. That makes a huge difference. And a lot of you have written to us, a lot of you have called us to thank us for helping you change and improve your health. And that is what we are here for. So please keep those calls coming in, the texts coming in, the emails coming in, so that we can continue to help you. And as always, our Friday clinics are open. They're free Friday clinics. We have been mandated, authorized, and deputized by the federal government of Nigeria to address a whole range of conditions, including brain disorders, sickle cell disease, autism, and we're doing it free of charge. Believe it or not, we've been doing this now for about 5-6 years. You come to our Friday clinics, no questions asked. You get whatever we can give you that will help. And as you have seen on our website, we have lots and lots and lots of testimonials. Sickle cell disease, obviously, is number one because Nigeria is number one in the world, and we have to get a handle of that, or on that, excuse me. Now, with that said, sickle cell disease is also a cardiovascular issue. We always think about it as just a blood disorder, but it's also it affects the heart and the blood vessels. And because the heart and blood vessels are the number one cardiovascular disease, is the number one killer in the world, it's so important that we also address cardiovascular disease. So if you were on the show last week, we're having her back on today, and we will be introducing her. For those who have not met her before, we'll be introducing her shortly after the break. So stay tuned, call your friends and family, and be back on in a few minutes. All right, welcome back, folks. With me on the show is Dr. Muni Adanijo, who is the Chief Medical Director and co-founder of Naveen Healthcare, based in Lagos. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me back.
Well, we appreciate you making the time. We had a lot of fun last time, and thank you for all that great information you shared. We're going to get in more now, and I think during the break we talked about dental health. A few weeks ago we had Dr. Dayo, my namesake, my former classmate, talk about the importance of gum disease to cardiovascular disease, amongst other things. And he's mentioned a few highlighting things. It's now said that doctors and dentists should work together, cardiologists and dentists should work together because there is so much cross intersection. And if one doesn't, there's this collaboration that needs to be done. Why is that important?
Okay, so it's really interesting to note that, people that have chronic gum disease can actually get heart disease as well. As well as people that have gum or tooth infections. Now, how does it work? Now, when you have chronic gum disease, okay, you have inflammation in your body. And when you have inflammation in your body reacts to inflammation in the same way, whether it's in the mouth or it's in the gut or wherever. And it also causes inflammation in the lining of your blood vessels. Now, this inflammation can cause narrowing of the blood vessels. It can cause atherosclerosis. Blood clots can form. You can get a stroke just because your teeth are not healthy. Another thing that can happen is when you have a gum infection or a tooth infection and you have a defective heart valve or there's some defects in your heart. Now, that infection can enter your blood and then go and infect your heart, and you get something called endocarditis, which can be life-threatening. Okay, so it's really important that we get our teeth checked. And it's also interesting to note that many people who are diabetic were first diagnosed in the dental chair. So you come, you have this horrible dental abscess and all that, and they take your sugar, boom, it's 300, it's 200, it's high. So many have been referred to an endocrinologist or to a cardiologist from the dental chair. So yes, we actually do need to work together. Honestly, I tell people the body shouldn't be divided into specialties. Everything affects everything. Yeah. So sometimes, it's difficult when you work in silos. It's one patient, but is doing her thing. The ophthalmologist is doing his thing. The ear, nose, and throat doctor is doing their thing. The cardiologist is somewhere else doing something else. And not knowing that it's one underlying problem that is causing all these issues. So we really need to work together, as healthcare professionals. Yeah, that was an extra.
Well, good luck there. As you all know, we like to work exactly that in silos. So, so that's why it's so important that the patient or the individual be aware of these things. So that I've made to understand now, if you're brushing your teeth and your gum is bleeding, or if you're flossing and your gum is bleeding, that's a sign of what? Gum disease. Yeah. Yeah. But also it's a sign that you may be compromised cardiovascularly, right?
Yeah, so you need to get that checked out.
Right. So it's very important you do that. And especially if you're having trouble, maybe you're taking blood sugar medication, or you're taking hypertension medication, and it's not controlling, and the doctor keeps on having to pile on the pills, it may be that something is compromising the ability of those drugs to work properly. And therefore, so if you now think about your teeth and all that, that may be part of the problem that people need to look at. So people need to really understand this. Of course, as you mentioned in the last program, on the last show last week, that if you're having belly fat, a lot of belly fat, it may make the drugs not work as well. So, or if you're sitting for too long, and I think we want to talk about that. Let's talk about that, by the way. Let's talk about sitting. Sitting for too long, and we'll circle back to dentition.
Okay, so it's really interesting because our bodies were not made to stay in one place. Now, our ancestors were hunter-gatherers. They used to wake up in the morning, go to the bush, shoot animals, go and farm and things like that. Now, with modernization, we've become rich, we've become a bit more modern. We don't walk about anymore. All we do is sit in one place. So the typical life of a typical person, he or she wakes up in the morning, drives to work, gets to work, takes the elevator, to their office. They stay on their chair all day, even they have lunch at their desk, and then they close in the evening. Sometimes they go for happy hour. They're still seated, and then they drive home, and they get home. They're so tired. All they do is watch their favorite TV show, watch football, eat dinner, and go and sleep. So this person has been sitting all day. And even now with the pandemic and everybody's working from home, people don't even leave their houses anymore. So people work from their beds, literally, because all they do is go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, and they're back on their desk. So now studies have shown that if the longer you sit, the more at risk you are of having heart disease. Now, an interesting thing is people think, when you do your 45 minutes exercise in the morning, that should be enough. That's not correct, because your 45 minutes walk in the morning does not protect you 100% from heart disease. So if you walk in the 24-hour day, you only walk for 45 minutes. So the rest of your 23 hours and 15 minutes, you're sitting down, you're still at risk of heart disease. So how do you do this? So we're advised that every 2 hours, you get up and walk around for at least 10 minutes. Then you go back to your seat. So how can you do this? You can take meetings standing up. You can buy a standing desk. If you work from home, you can buy a standing desk. If you're having Zoom meetings, for example, you can actually stand and have your meetings. You don't have to sit down. You can park far in the parking lot such that you have to walk a distance, to the office. Take the stairs, not the elevator. You know, if you want to go and get something from your colleague in the other room, don't send an email. Actually walk, you know, to your colleague's office and have a conversation with him. Just keep moving as much as you can. Just don't sit down all day. You know, that could be predisposed to having cardiovascular disease.
That is so interesting. Is it because of the positioning? I mean, would the same effects be seen if you were, let's say, lying down or on a lounge chair? Or is it because of the way the office chairs are angled that makes them so dangerous? Or is it just not being sedentary at all?
Because you're being sedentary. It's because you're not moving your body.
Okay,
it's because you're not moving your body.
Sedentary. Okay, yeah. Because you're not moving your body.
It's because you're, so whether you're lying down, sitting down, you know, reclining, sitting erect, as long as you're not moving around, then you're at risk of developing heart disease.
That is crazy. That is crazy. I mean, I've been told too that it's like when the blood begins to pool around when you sit down for so long, around that hip, this pelvis area, the blood begins to pool and then sets up some metabolic chain reactions that change the consistency of the blood or raise inflammatory cytokines you
even have problems because if you sit in one place, you know, your blood is not circulating properly, the blood pools around your legs, you start having leg swelling, joint problems, back issues. There's so many problems with when you sit in one place. Your heart doesn't really pump properly. The heart also needs to be exercised. You know, when you don't stress your heart, quote unquote, it's always like, okay, so now we're beating. I don't really have to do much, you know, and it goes out of shape, you know, but when you walk around, you know, your heart beats faster. And then when you walk around, your body, you know, releases all kinds of hormones that dilate your arteries, nitric oxide and things like that. That helps reduce your blood pressure, you know, that helps dilate your vessels, improves circulation, improves blood supply to all your organs. So, you know, you just can't spend your whole day sitting down. At least most of the time, please try and walk around.
So in other words, throw the remote control away and start moving around.
Well, yeah, well, that helps. And then most of us wear these fancy smartwatches. And we're just wearing it because X also got one. So people are walking around with devices on them that can do so much. A lot of these devices can count your steps, take your pulse, take your BP, check your oxygen levels. And these devices can tell you, stand up, you know, you've been sitting for too long, you know, take a walk. And then it shows you, you know, your steps. It shows you, you know, how far you've walked. You need to complete your steps. You need to do this and that. So guys, instead of, you know, spending a lot of money on these gadgets and you don't even use their functions, just today, just have a look at your smartphone, your smartwatch, and look at what it can do and how it can improve your health. It's not just for fashion, you know, or trying to oppress role care from accounting. You know, I now have a new watch to take.
Fantastic. That's a very, very good point. Use your technology to your advantage. But I also like and that's scary, the fact that you can exercise every day and still be at risk of heart disease because you sit down for a long period of time. So you're saying that does not reverse or neutralize the damage that is caused by sitting down for too much. 45 minutes a day of exercise? That's almost hard. That's almost impossible to believe, almost. It's crazy.
The research is out there.
Wow. Very important point. Thank you for bringing it up. We're going to take a short break now, and then we will be back shortly. All right, folks, welcome back. I'm here with Dr. Munisola Adanijo, powerful name, of the Naveen Healthcare. She is the co-founder and chief medical director. Doc, let's talk about supplementation. Of course, you know, I'm pretty big on supplements. That's all we use in our foundation. We don't use medication at all. We use supplements. And of course, we know that supplements have a key role where cardiovascular health is concerned. However, one should not be substituted for the other. They're meant to be, as the word is, supplements. Let's talk about how the two can work together to optimize health among patients.
Okay, so the problem we have in Nigeria is that, people tend to think supplements are the medication. You understand what I'm saying? So you see people that get gifts from the diaspora, there are always these huge jars of whatever vitamins, and everything is labeled good for the heart. Now, once people see something is good for the heart, they start to take that and they abandon every other thing. They abandon their lifestyle modification, they abandon their medication and start swallowing that. Yes, it's good for the heart. All the supplements, there's some that are actually good for omega-3 and all that, CoQ10 and all that. They're good for the heart. However, exactly as the name says, they're supplementation, they're like an adjunct. So you still have to eat healthy. You still have to reduce your salt. You still have to watch your sugar. You still have to take your medication. Now, it's always good to use supplements with your doctor's guidance and advice, because sometimes with these supplements, if you're using more than one, they're like I was telling you earlier, somebody's using 4 different vitamins. And if you look at the components, everything has the same thing. So the same, using the same vitamin A, vitamin D, and using all the supplements at the same time, because that could be too much. I was telling you as well about my patient who when I saw her BP was quite high, 170 something. She was a middle-aged lady and she was obese. So we started her on medication. Her BP was really high. So I think she was on 3 drugs. So we started her on lifestyle, salt and all that. Then we realized that I think she had low magnesium. Anyway, she had some mineral issues. So we started supplementing those as well. Now, what happened as we were treating her, her BP started really dropping. So I started tailing down her medication because I realized that, her BP was as low as 98/60 at some point. I had to take off one. So I think as at the last time I saw her, we had moved from 3 drugs to just 1. I think she had lost like 20 kilograms. She was exercising every day. She was taking she was on low salt diet and things like that. And she was also, taking these really good supplements. I can't remember the supplement she was taking, but, she was doing everything under supervision. So you can't just go to someone and say, oh, this drug is good for your heart. And the person says, okay, it's good for my heart. Then they start swallowing it without, without supervision. So that's always my problem with supplements in Nigerians. It's not that, I don't prescribe them. It's not that I don't like them, but we need to be careful. We need to be careful and we need to use them under supervision.
And that makes perfect sense. People should not think that vitamin D or omega-3 alone is going to do the problem. And some of us, we wish were possible for supplements to fix all the problems, but we know better. And folks, you need to understand it too. If you've been diagnosed with hypertension or diabetes, yes, you can try omega-3, you can try vitamin D, but don't think that is solving the problem you have to check your blood pressure. Like as Dr. Moni has said, you have to go to the pharmacy or wherever it is, get your blood pressure checked. If it's not working, it means it's not working. You can't take chances. You've got to get to the doctor and get instituted on a program. And then you take your supplements along with it. And as you know, and we've been saying this for the past 4 or 5 years, vitamin D is super important for the cardiovascular system. So is vitamin C. Those two, and of course, vitamin B as well. And what we have seen, because the government, again, has given us approval, mandated us, in other words, deputized and authorized us, I like to say that, to also address heart disease as well. Not as a treatment, but to teach about what can improve your cardiovascular health. Drugs will control your blood pressure. Drugs can also control your blood sugar and your triglycerides and your, what's the other one again? Cholesterol levels.
Yeah.
All that is very important. By the way, I need to talk about homocysteine briefly as well. And all that. And those control those things, but drugs will not make your blood vessels healthy. Mm-hmm. It's a good diet, with good supplementation that will make them healthy. But drugs can bring down those levels of their thing. And that's why they have to work together. Our patients have significantly shown that once they use their drugs and their blood pressure and all those parameters are controlled, plus they add things like vitamin D and vitamin C, they get even better results. And sometimes they even lower the amount of drugs they have to take because they are getting healthier, their blood vessels are getting healthier. And I think it's very important that you point these things out, that one should not be substituted for the other. Don't be in denial and don't be deceived. Let's put it that way. Because I know, like you said, people are on the streets, they are selling this, they're selling that, and everybody's like, this is going to solve all ills, and then you're deceived into taking it, and then forgetting about your medication. You put your medication aside, and then all of a sudden you come down with a stroke or a heart attack because that supplement or that whatever concussion did not work. So great point. Let's talk about homocysteine.
Okay, so hyperhomocysteine, that's a huge word. I'll say it slowly. Hyperhomocysteinemia means too much it means too much homocysteine in your blood, and that can actually predispose to heart disease as well. It can predispose to strokes. And vitamin B helps to break down homocysteine. So
B12?
that is why.
Isn't it B12 or is it just B12?
I can't remember which one. Is it B12 or folate? I can't really remember. I really need to check that.
Yeah, you're right. It's one of the two. Yeah, I think it's B12.
I can't remember, but vitamin. But if you're taking your B complex, everything is there, so that's fine. That's why I'm taking B complex, by the way, to break down homocysteine.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
And I think it breaks it down to form melatonin.
And those are things that increase the salt level. So people have to be aware of that. Sugar too, the hidden sugar, what people don't realize as much is that things like pounded yam, eba, but not gari, for interestingly enough, but eba and all these other, solids, they may not be sweet in the sugary sense of the word, but once they're taken into the body very quickly converts them into sugar, and therefore raises the blood sugar levels, and therefore raises insulin levels, and it's a constant battle with your pancreas trying to bring your blood sugar levels down. For the next meal, you take another meal of that.
Especially pounded yam. Especially pounded yam.
Why do you have to pick on pounded yam?
No, because hold on now. When you boil yam, right, and you eat it in the boiled state, it still has the fiber in it, right? So when you go ahead and pound it, you've broken down all the fiber. So it's like partly digested. When you now eat pounded yam, because it's partly digested, it converts to sugar really quickly and it shoots your blood sugar up.
So you're saying cooked yam will not have the same effect?
As pounded, no. It doesn't.
Interesting, because interesting. I gotta tell you, it's a hard pill to take. It's a hard pill to take for us Ekiti people to tell us not to take pounded yam. But I hear what you're saying. Maybe what we can do is compromises to reduce your portion, maybe instead of
reduce your portions. Exactly. Reduce the portions and reduce the frequency. So don't take it 3 times a day, especially if you're diabetic. Please, thank you. Yes. So you can take pounded yam maybe every Sunday so that you remember your roots. A small quantity, not that you eat 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
Okay, one more thing, because I just wrote this note here, I wanted to bring it out. Vitamin K2, I want to emphasize that. We now know that K2, we've heard about K1, which is for clotting, but vitamin K2, which goes with vitamin D3, what K2 does is that it takes away calcium from the blood and from the tissues, where many times it's deposited, and it extracts that and puts it into the bones where it should be. So I always recommend that if people are taking a lot of vitamin D3, they should take K2 as well, because D3 removes, helps you absorb calcium and put it in the bloodstream. K2 takes the calcium from the bloodstream and pushes it into the bones. So people who are suffering from osteoporosis, although that's not as common in Black women as it is in white women especially, K2 and D3 and magnesium could significantly help in that case if you're taking the right amount. So it's another very important point. We found that K2 also helps with osteoporosis as well, but never without the medication. You need to start with the medication and then add the supplementation to it. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ma. I appreciate it. All right, final words. All right, final words.
Final words. We need to take care of our hearts. Okay, we can't keep living in, I say this all the time, we can't keep living in denial of heart disease. Yeah. It's still the #1 killer of everyone worldwide, men and women. And 80% of cardiovascular deaths can be prevented by early detection, early treatment, lifestyle changes. So it is really, really important that we pay attention to our heart health. Don't wait until your heart, and then heart disease doesn't give you any kind of warning many times. For many people, the first symptom may be your first heart attack and you die. The first symptom may be the stroke you have in your sleep and then you don't wake up. The first symptom could be when you're giving a talk. We've had so many, instances of people having meetings and they, fall over, collapse and die. People have been dancing at parties, fall over, collapse and die. People have been, so it's really important to know your cardiovascular status, know your numbers, not your house address, not your phone number, your vital numbers for life, your BMI, body mass index, of course, your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your blood cholesterol, okay? And the numbers should be at least 6 months old.
So in other words, they should check out this, everybody should be checking us every 6 months at least, okay?
At least your blood pressure, because blood pressure is the easiest to check and your BMI is the easiest to check. So your blood sugar and your cholesterol may be every year, but your blood pressure, you can walk into any place and get your blood pressure done.
Right, very true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adani.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it and wish you all the very best in your work to improve healthcare and health among Nigerians. And I know you're doing a lot of stuff in.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be nice.
Awesome. Well, folks, thank you again for joining us. You remember, this is where to get the best information when it comes to healthcare. We are #1 in the world, in Africa. I like to say that a lot. I think we work for it. So thank you for your support through the years and see you next week. God bless and bye.